What's up, everyone? Happy Wednesday. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Midweek, we're halfway there, almost to the weekend, right? There's been a lot of shit going on lately. Uh, and the only term I can think of is ops, like some kind of ops going on, fucking with UFO personalities on X. Um, Sometimes it feels like it's an outside source messing with folks. Sometimes it feels like it's folks that want the same thing but are arguing with each other and, fighting with each other over how to get there. It's become really almost tribal. And that's not good. That's not good for any community. Now, are some people just assholes? Absolutely. That's definitely a thing. Um, but some people are probably directed to do shady things, to cause problems, to cause arguments between folks in the community. So I thought it would be a good time. This was a very timely interview by Shawn Ryan, who interviews Chase Hughes. Now, if you're not sure about who Chase Hughes is, Chase Hughes was a former Navy Chief Petty Officer. He specializes in behavior profiling, interrogation, and persuasion science. Persuasion science. Think about that for a second, y'all. He advises intelligence, law enforcement, and private sector. So when law enforcement and intelligence get stuck on something or need help with something, he's the guy they go to, right? Like he's too expensive for the government to afford, essentially. He's too good at it. And he's known for high precision reads on micro behaviors and influence patterns. Now, Shawn Ryan was a special operator, and so he does have some knowledge on Psyops, but nowhere near what this gentleman has. What Psyops are is psychological operations, right? Not propaganda, okay? These are actual operations. Typically, the objective of a psychological operation is going to be, obviously, you're going to try to influence people. You're going to try to influence perception or maybe change behavior of something that an individual or a group of individuals is doing. Um, it's often used by militaries, intel agencies. It's even used by political campaigns, and yes, corporations use it. Social media is now and has become the primary battlefield for psyops. So in the military, we would refer to any active area, battlefield, as like an arena. And social media, X, Facebook, the talk ticks, all of them, right? That's the new arena for intel and psyops. Because if you can control what people think and what people believe, then you control the message. We all know that, right? Now, what Chase Hughes is like an advanced course for identifying this stuff. So as we go through this, we're going to stop and talk. I'm going to open up the comment section. I know there's not a ton of people in here, but we may get a few more folks in. Going to open up the comment section. Feel free if you have any questions, if you want me to even just rewind a part that we missed or something, just let me know. If you have any comments, anything you think would be helpful, to the group, to the community, because this is about making this community aware of this type of shit. That's why I'm doing this, and that's why I do videos like this, and that's why I have a project coming up on it, because nobody's gonna look out for the folks in this community except for the folks in this community. And we gotta be able to identify this stuff when it happens. All right, so without further ado, this is Chase Hughes on the Shawn Ryan Show. Now, we're not going to watch the whole thing. It's like a 4-hour interview, right? But we're going to watch some pretty important and interesting segments. So let's get started.
I mean, what is the definition of a psyop to you?
I think a psyop, when I use the term, is talking about a narrative-driven control of perception with the aim of shaping behavior. So it's narrative-driven. There has to be some kind of narrative or desired outcome. I'm just going to feed you something enough to where I have a desired outcome that I want you to do behaviorally. I want you to believe something, adopt some new belief, maybe take on some new identity of I am this type of person now and I do this thing now instead of ideas. So it's more about identity than ideas and who you are.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
And I think we're at it. You said it. We're at this all-time low in people's ability to feel trusting in the government. And can I trust what the government's telling us? We've been through this. This whole COVID thing was just an unbelievably obvious, and that's the thing it's starting to become more and more obvious over time, which I don't know why they're doing that. But if I had to make a huge guess, this is because the people or organizations, whoever's behind a lot of this stuff, I think they're getting old. And I think there's some narcissism there that's causing them to want this process to happen faster so it happens during their lifetime.
What do you mean, what happens?
Whatever desired end state that these people, which I can't predict, and my theories would just be wild conjecture. But it's very obvious that we're being engineered to have this tribalistic us versus them mentality and all of these other things that are just baked into everything. We can go as deep as you want to go on that.
I would love to go as deep as you can. I've wanted to talk about this for a long time.
Okay. So let me start out just by introducing you to an ancestor of ours. They live in these tribal, almost nomadic tribes. And the average tribe 100,000 years ago, we believe was 120 people or so, 150, 120 people. So a pretty small social network, right? So you know everybody's names, you're familiar with everybody's behavioral habits and things like that. And there's a few things that kind of govern your life. And keep in mind that our brains haven't changed. The human brain itself has not evolved one more wrinkle since then. So it's identical brain to 100,000 years ago.
Has it devolved?
There's no proof of that either.
Okay.
And that they would be measuring interior skull volume and things like that. So over the course of time, your ancestors, if they piss someone off in the tribe and they get judged by a lot of people in the tribe, they do something silly and they get some kind of judgment, they get excommunicated, they get exiled and kicked out of the tribe. This meant death. Like A, they're not going to have food and support anymore, water, all this other stuff that's very important to life. But B, they can't have sex anymore. They're not attractive to a mate anymore. And now their genes die. So now it's not just death. For me, it's a full death of my genetic bloodline. It's massive. And we hear people all the time say, well, this public speaking is the number one fear of people. But speaking is never what people are afraid of. It's the judgment, the potential for judgment. Somebody's going to judge me. I'm going to get laughed at. I'm going to get kicked off the stage or something like that. That is hardwired into our nervous system. And it's inside of the lower part of our brain. And if I can target the non-human part of the brain, this mammalian mammal brain inside of our brain, that governs your whole life. It's the thing that keeps your heart beating. It's the thing that if you say, I'm going to hold my breath until I die, the reason that you can't is that part of your brain's in charge. It's either going to make you breathe or knock your ass out, So this social fear, being afraid of what other people are going to think of me, became weaponized, hardcore weaponized just in the last 15, 20 years. With social media coming out, our brains are wired to handle 120 people. And then social media becomes this placebo of connection.
What do you mean our brains are wired to handle 120 people? Does that mean we can, I think the Wall Street Journal just put something out very similar to this a couple days ago, saying that the human mind can only basically effectively handle 150 different relationships with people.
Yeah.
Is that where we're going?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's forge, foster, and maintain. Can I forge a relationship, foster a new relationship with someone, and then maintain it? So we're limited to about 150. And social media comes on the scene. Somehow that's triggering our need a little bit. It's fulfilling some need. It's like a placebo of social connection. And what happens, like we have this city where there's 1 million people in a city and your brain can't handle more than 150. What do? We go into apathy. We go into absolute apathy. And this is where you get things like psychologists studying something called the bystander effect. Somebody's in public, they get stabbed or robbed or something. If there's lots of people around, people don't say anything and they don't do anything because it's a diffusion of responsibility, and we care less and less and less every day. People are talking.
Yeah, that's just like that girl got stabbed on that fucking bus, right? I mean, now I get it. Like, you don't want to get stabbed either. So, you're not a superhero. You're not going to jump in and do something. I get that. Like, especially if you have kids or a family, right? But, like, just nobody reacted, like, really at all. And that's crazy. I know coming from Portland, I know that there was a stabbing on the MAX train. That's our electric train. And it was like some crazy neo-Nazi guy, but he had stabbed like a couple people, and then, people had jumped in and stopped him. But this was like, they just stabbed that poor girl and nobody paid attention. But this has been going on for a long time. This is not something that's new. There's multiple cases that I remember studying from the 80s in New York where multiple people should have witnessed this event, but nobody will say a single thing because they're terrified. Or, as Mr. Hughes points out, apathy, right? There's just so many people, you just become kind of apathetic to other people's struggles. And I think that's what happens on X. That's why people can be so fucking mean to each other on X, because those aren't foundational. Like, if you meet somebody on X, you can have a good friendship, but it's not like the friendship you'd have with someone you've met, hung out with, and you've known your entire life, right? They're not like a foundational relationship, especially some rando on X that you haven't even met before. So it's like they become, less important, less human, and it's even easier to become apathetic to their problems, to their struggles. And that's why you find yourself doing stupid things, because you get caught up in these emotional arguments. At any rate, I'm going to let Mr. Hughes go on here. Just thought that was really interesting.
Talking about like all the stuff going on in Ukraine or whatever, but like there's murders 4 blocks from your house, and people being murdered. So we have an apathy for people that are around us once the tribe gets above a certain number. And what social media is doing, and I'm not here to stand on a box and demonize social media. That's not, and I don't think anyone that created social media is not setting out to do this. But what social media is doing with this placebo effect is it's tricking our brains into feeling a little sense of connection, but we're confusing attention for connection.
Interesting.
And the second part of this is anybody watching the show right now on their iPad or whatever would agree that we are in a loneliness epidemic, the whole world. And we're more connected than ever. But we are in this loneliness epidemic because what we're getting is a placebo of social connection from social media, from all these apps and stuff like that. So back to this tribe, there are 4 things that we we went into in the audio series that you did with Ironclad. And this spells out the word fate because it is our fate. And this is focus, authority, tribe, and emotion. If I can hack your focus, social media, if I can make you think that someone's an authority figure they have more views, they have more subscribers, they have more whatever, they got the blue check mark, whatever it is. Tribe, if I can hack your feeling of tribe, then I can get you to do whatever I want you to do, or I can get you to view norms as completely different because you're in a new tribe, us versus them mentality. And the emotional part. And if you're looking at your social media, I'm not going to say the name of any one of them, but I'm sure you've scrolled through social media before. Like you see 4 or 5 posts that are just engineered to piss you off.
Oh, yeah.
Engineered. And then every once in a while, you'll see one of those like videos where we're like, oh, we had this baby eagle land on our front porch. And it shows the eagle, and then it shows him bottle feeding it, and then it shows him a little bigger, and he's grown up and he's friends with them now. And like you get this little emotional kick. And immediately when you scroll after one of those, you'll see an ad.
No shit.
Yeah.
Why?
There's a hypnosis phrase for this. And in hypnosis, they call this fractionation. If I can get your emotion to go up and then back down again, every time I take you back up just a little bit, just a tiny bit above water, the next time I pull you down, you'll go deeper. So like in hypnosis, I might put you under hypnosis and then just wake you up from the neck up, or maybe have you open your eyes just a little bit. So I'll pull you out of trance a little bit and then send you back down, and pull you out and then send you back down. So it's proven that we'll go deeper and deeper. And the same effect happens with social media. And you'll see those spikes. And I think anybody that has social media can start to become aware of this stuff. Like it's pissing me off, pissing me off, pissing me off. And then that weird video that like we're watching social media alone on the couch at night sometime, and like then we randomly cry for some little rescued animal video or something. And then we get an ad right afterwards.
Interesting. And so this placebo effect, just rewinded just a little bit. You're saying that and with the family plan, you somebody's perception of the world.
So it's essentially like advanced marketing 2025, right? So it's kind of like doom scrolling, it almost feels like sometimes, and then you hit this positive post or a post that makes you feel positive or good about something, and then boom, next thing you see is an ad. It's just like this advanced level of marketing, similar to McDonald's trying to figure out how to play commercials while you sleep in your dreams. Just no shame in it whatsoever. And I apologize, I hit the button, I lost our place a little bit. I think we were. Make sure we're in the right place here.
But if you go back to this FATE model, FATE, focus, authority, tribe, and emotion, and you go
Okay, fate, focus, authority, tribe, emotion. Whenever a bright guy like Chase Hughes makes an acronym, usually some good stuff in there. So we're talking about some core techniques: behavioral conditioning, right? Reward and punish loops, identity-based persuasion, attaching beliefs to a personal identity, Environmental priming, so setting context so people choose what you want. Crowd compliance dynamics, emotional hijacking to bypass rational thought. These are all things that we have seen, I've seen with my own eyes in spaces.
Watch an episode of like Caesar Milan, the dog whisperer guy who trains dogs. He's got some celebrities shithead dog that like bites people when they come in the house or whatever. What's the first thing that Caesar Milan does? Establishes the dog's focus. Second thing he does, establish authority by taking control over the dog's space or by him owning a certain piece of space and not letting the dog come into this area. Third thing, tribe. Now we're going to go on a walk. The owner's going to come with us, and the dog's going to walk with me. We're going to walk together. They will not walk in front of me. We're going to walk together. Enforce the sense of tribe. As soon as that's done, I'm going to pet the dog. I'm going to give the dog a treat. I'm going to tell him he did a great job. Maybe go watch a movie or something. Emotion. That's a mammalian brain, and it's the same whether you're training or manipulating a human or a dolphin, a monkey, or a dog. That's that ancient system that's wired into us. And the scary part, what I think is scary, is that there's no firewall. Like we can't go download McAfee and put it in our head for making ourselves immune to this stuff. I'm as vulnerable as everybody else. Knowing about this stuff helps, and being able to see that, like you're scrolling through social media, you're like, whoa, I finally saw that thing. That helps because it's kind of takes some power away from it. But truly understanding that we are hardwired, this little system, the limbic system, mammalian brain in our head, makes decisions about things way before we think we make decisions. And this is proven on MRI studies that the mammalian part of our brain has already made the decision before we even make the actual decision.
No kidding.
So our decision making is also a placebo. It's already been done in the lower part of the brain. So the lower part of the brain's job is to make choices and decisions. The upper part of the brain, it's called the neocortex, which is Latin for new cover. That thing's job is to kind of take credit for making the decisions. But that's also where our ego lives and what makes us different than other primates and why we get Einstein and Mozart.
Interesting. Lot of dark stuff going on in the world right now, and it's to the point where I don't.
Give me an example. I think what I mean is,
Example would be, I mean, this stuff really popped on my radar during COVID, so I guess we can start with COVID.
oh my gosh,
COVID, political violence. That's like the big one, right, Charlie?
Okay, so this is, some people might hate me for this, some people might tune out, ban me, whatever, but this is just an observation, was that during COVID, when my kid had to stay home from school, I noticed a gigantic uptick in the attention to transgender stuff. So it was like all of a sudden a lot more young people were saying they were trans. We were seeing even weird shows on television about little trans kids doing, I don't know, like boy Miss Americas or something. I don't even know. But at any rate, that was something I noticed I think was very real. And I don't have a problem with trans people at all, but it was something I noticed that was real that happened. And I thought that was very, very strange. Tell me if I'm crazy. I might be. Might just be bias. Might just be where I was, my point of view. But it seemed very much like those, some type of messaging had been sent out, and our kids were picking up on it. So super weird.
Charlie Kirk was just assassinated. Some people think it was the left. Some people think it was the right. Some people think it was Israel. Some people think it was trans. You know, at least that's what it was at the beginning. A lot of questions going on about this fucking guy that supposedly shot him. Did he? I don't know. You know what I mean? I mean,
Super weird.
so I mean, is that a psyop? Is the Epstein shit a psyop? I mean, Ukraine, China,
All psyop.
everything.
Yes.
It's just, it's to the fucking point. I don't believe anything that it's so bad now. I don't even know if I believe my own eyes.
Yeah. And that's good that you're starting to get that way. And I think so many people are waking up because they made it way too obvious during COVID, which is a good thing. I'm glad they did it because it woke up so many people where they started doing this crazier and crazier and crazier shit.
I love that because that is a glass half full, positive, take charge way to look at it. It can freak you out, but don't get freaked out. Be happy that you're starting to identify it, starting to question it, because that's kind of the first step, right?
Shit, and people are like, "Whoa, the government's doing this." So I think that helped people wake up. But what I meant was, with an example, there are some things that people call a psyop, like this algorithm, like, oh, the algorithm's engineering your behavior. The algorithm's job is to make you buy stuff and make you see ads, and that's where money comes from and revenue. So the algorithm says after this and this type of thing, people tend to click this buy now button for this flannel shirt, right? So since we do that, I'm going to start doing that more. And the algorithm continuously learns. And I think there's a tendency for a lot of people to think that a lot of this stuff is these dark forces sitting around a marble conference table at night, smoking cigars, like planning this stuff. I think a lot of the stuff that we see online is the result of these algorithms doing what makes revenue. And I think it's an EBITDA revenue focused algorithm. But with the other stuff, when it comes to psyops, there's a few ways to tell if something is a psyop. And number one, the most important thing for anybody to learn is that if an opinion has to be silenced for for another idea to flourish, then you're in a psyop. Guaranteed.
We've seen a lot of that lately.
A ton.
A lot of that.
There were Harvard educated doctors banned from social media for openly speaking about stuff that's now we've shown to be true. Harvard educated doctors. The dude who invented mRNA went on Rogan because he got kicked off of Twitter, I think. I don't remember what it was. So the moment you see someone being silenced, and it's an opinion from somebody who should have some kind of social authority, that's a big deal. And that should be terrifying to you, to anybody that is witnessing that.
We've seen a lot of that in the past couple of years too.
There's been a ton.
A lot.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is what that does with our social media kind of hacking that tribal part of our brain. If all of us were sitting here in a room and we see someone get pulled up in front of the whole crowd and then smacked in the face, embarrassed, and then tossed out of the room, and I was about to go up on stage and do that, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be quiet now. I don't want that to happen to me.
Yeah.
So now we're using that tribalism as, I'm going to take this person and I'm going to make an example out of them to prevent everybody else from stepping up. I'm going to increase fear associated with being socially outcast.
Man, this happened to me. We've always dealt with not always, ever since, the new administration's in, we haven't really had any issues, but I mean, I remember we had Jim Caviezel on. It was during that, Sound of Freedom movie came out. A lot of people hated that movie, right?
Yeah.
Dude, the episode just disappeared.
Your episode with Jim?
Just got pulled down. Like woke up one day, fucking gone.
Wow.
I think it's because he talked about, which apparently is like a forbidden topic, right? But yeah, just woke up, it was gone. We re-uploaded. But this shit happens to everybody.
And
Not everybody. It happens to a lot of people.
to tell you how pervasive this is, the moment you mentioned that word in association with the video being like deleted from YouTube, I was like, oh shit, Sean's going to get our show kicked off the internet.
No, I'm going to bleep that word.
Okay, good. Okay. But that was my first reaction was like, oh no, I'm gonna be outcast, or some little piece is gonna be outcast because of this. So I had that fear while you and I are talking about some people exploiting that fear. And I'm the guy. I'm the guy who teaches
Yeah.
Psyops and the Army Psyops, who do this for good reasons, hopefully, how to do a lot of this stuff. And I'm not immune to any of it.
So can you kind of, could you walk us through the planning and execution of a PSYOP from start to end?
Yeah. So phase one is target data collection. So what I want to do is figure out the basic behaviors and beliefs of this person. So I want to see what what their perception is and what context they find themselves in. So let me give you an example. Do you shower in the morning or at night?
Both.
You're a 2-time-a-day guy?
Sometimes.
All right.
Well, in the morning.
Okay.
Say in the morning.
All right. So if it's a morning shower, then I'll say sometime within the next 24 hours, you're going to take all of your clothes off, right? But you won't do it on a podcast. And that's because of context. So if I can figure out a way to make you, to shift the context in your mind, I can get you to do anything. Like, you're not going to take a gun right now and shoot me, right? But if the context was different and I was like running at you with a knife or something, then you would. So if I shift context, I can get desired behavior out of any human being. As just a weird example of this, there was a lawyer in Washington State who was arrested because he learned hypnosis and then started using hypnosis on these people in his office. And there's a woman who'd been seeing this lawyer, and he was hypnotizing her, and she noticed one day that her bra was misplaced, like kind of pushed to the side a little bit, and that he had like helped her redress or like put her clothes back on. So she brought a recorder in there and figured out that this guy would put her under hypnosis and say, and now you're coming home. It's the end of the day. You're taking out your car keys and put them in that bowl. You walk to the bathroom, you turn that hot shower on, and now the context is shifted. So perception and context are the biggest target data acquisition there. So how do they see the world, and what is the context where the desired behavior that I want, what is the context where that behavior is automatic or natural? Does that make sense?
Kinda.
Okay. So first I want to get perception. So this is how does this person see the world? And if I can modify your perception.
How do you figure out how that person sees the world?
So beliefs first,
Okay.
values, identity, and tribalism.
Okay.
So like what's important to them, what's important to the tribe versus the individual, because those are always different things. And then in what context, so whatever the desired behavior that I want, what is the context that would make that desired behavior automatic?
Okay. Let's backtrack a little bit more.
Yeah.
So you're trying to figure out somebody's perception of the world. So when you are researching that and putting pen to paper, what does that look like? How do you start that, and what are you documenting?
I tend to look for, and this is me, there's 6 needs, and I want to look for individuals in society and where are most of them on this needs map. And those 6 needs are significance. I need to do something so I can feel the most significant person in the room. Acceptance. So this is more where it's kind of a tribe of people. I pride myself on being part of a team. So significance, acceptance, approval, and approval, having a social, and these are all social needs. A social need for approval is that friend that we all have that's like, oh, I got that job interview tomorrow and I know I'm going to suck at it. I suck at everything. And just to get you to go be like, no, it's okay. You're going to do fine. You did great last time. You're tremendously confident. You're overqualified. So that's kind of the approval type of person. And the final three are intelligence, pity, and strength. So intelligence means I need to do something where other people are going to see me as intelligent. And then pity is like, they're asking the question, like, do other people realize how bad I've had it or how much I've been through? And the strength and power person at the end is, can I behave in such a way where no one will ever challenge me? So I'm gonna show a lot of posturing, kind of like the false alpha male syndrome.
Okay.
A lot of that. So and the cool thing is, even in a conversation one-on-one, you can spot someone's needs usually within a minute and a half. And if I know the person is, let's call it an acceptance need person, I automatically know that their social fear is being outcast, being judged, or feeling some kind of social guilt.
No shit. So it's one or the other of the stuff that you meant, or could there be more?
You could have one of those with a secondary.
Okay.
So you typically have a primary and secondary.
Okay.
But if I know that if your need is being significant, I automatically understand that your deepest insecurities are about feeling small, insignificant, like you don't matter to anybody and you have no impact.
Okay.
So I know instantly, just by understanding you're on this needs map, I know where your fears and your insecurities are better than probably your therapist that's been working with you for a year and it's been a minute and a half in a conversation. So a cult recruiter could use this as easily as a psyop doing it on an entire group of people.
Are there any of these traits that the majority of folks have? Needs?
Yeah. So when I teach people this, and the system that I teach is called the NCI, it's neurocognitive intelligence. When I teach people this, I always default to significance and acceptance. You are important. People like you. Those two things are the most easy to sway a person's behavior with.
Okay.
Because the two biggest fears are, I don't matter, people don't like me.
Gotcha.
Right. So once you figure out the needs, then you have those insecurities, and then you want to figure out a plan to weaponize or leverage those insecurities. And we'll typically do this in small ways. So we kind of view it as a wedge. And the small things that we
So I just wanted to chime in and share with you. You can go to Chase's website here, NCI University. It's just N as in Nancy, C as in cat, I as in India, .university. In fact, I'll make it even easier. But you're going to find a lot of this stuff on his website. Check it out. You've even got a free training section. Just needs your name and email. But yeah, he's definitely squared away, and you can tell knows what the fuck he's talking about. So I hope y'all are getting something out of this, because this is kind of like, if you're researching like paranormal, UFOs, UAP, especially lately, or anything that outside people that could be affected by that research one way or another, that might operate on the extremes, then this is good stuff to know.
do matter a lot on the end. If I could go into like nerd mode, I'm going to talk about a piece of research here. And And Bob Cialdini, he wrote the book called Influence, and he wrote another book called Persuasion. Fantastic books. He's a research expert for influence, human influence. They went around these. Let me explain this to you. Let's say we have two neighborhoods here, one neighborhood here, one here. They're all the same demographics. They make the same amount of money. It's middle class. And they go to one neighborhood, door to door, and they ask them, will you put this giant, ugly ass, please drive safe sign out in your front yard? And in this one neighborhood, 1% of people, give or take, says yes. Then they go to this other neighborhood and they say, will you put this giant ass sign out in your yard that says, please drive safe? In the other neighborhood, 89% of people said yes. The only difference is in this other neighborhood, before they asked them to do the sign, they went around a week in advance and asked everybody one simple question. Do you support safe driving? And who's going to say, no, I don't do that. Of course, everybody says yes. And the moment they say yes, they say, I'm so glad. Thank you. The survey's finished. And would you mind placing this tiny sticker on a window that's facing the street that says drive safe? It's like that big, like one of those little alarm company stickers, right? So my stomach's making noise. I hope it's not coming through on the mic.
All good,
We can
man.
keep it in if you want. So in this, what they did was, do you support safe driving? So now I've got you to make a social commitment because there's two of us standing here at your doorstep. So you've just told someone who you are as a human being. Next, now that you've said that, I asked you to do this, and it's not that big of a deal. But a week later, I come to your house and ask you to put this ugly sign in your yard, and you say yes because of this chain of commitments that I've got you to go through. And it's not just commitment. It's me getting you to agree who you are as a person. So you kind of roll along with that identity.
Holy shit. Y'all picking this up? Do you believe what this researcher says? Do you believe what that researcher says? And you have like, we all know about the chat. It's a cool kids chat where the cool kids were. And I mean, it's this, obviously, right? So many of us got played. And look, I'll say it. I place a lot of the blame on Leslie Keene for that 2017 article. And then not only that, coming out and pounding it. Leslie Keene knew that the military had an explanation for those videos, a prosaic explanation for those videos. And so did Susan Go. So the main reporter and the main person in charge of the government of releasing classified information both knew those videos had a prosaic explanation. But the reporter went with the story anyway, and the government official didn't provide the evidence that they had to prove they weren't UFOs. That is a psychological operation, y'all, on the entire American public. And for 10 years, people were identifying things in the sky as UAPs or UFO, whatever the fuck we had to call them at that point, because they told us that's what we needed to call them. That could have all just been them testing new military tech. Hey, look, we're going to be flying some weird shit around for the next few years. Let's pump up that UFO story again. Let's put these radars on these jets that can pick up some of our highly sensitive craft and see what happens. Look, if we're willing to entertain UFOs and aliens, we have to be willing to entertain the alternate, right? And, wow, this sounds a lot like the alternate.
So at the beginning of our conversation, if I was an intelligence operator and I wanted to manipulate you, I might talk about my social anxiety when I was a kid. When I was like 19, I had crazy social anxiety. I felt like a fake everywhere I went. But if I started a conversation talking about that, and then I was like, Shawn, how did you get to the point of being this like open with other people? And the moment you answer my question, I've got you to agree to the next behavior that I need to get you to do. Does this make sense?
How so?
I'm starting to pull you out of the box. So I just got you to agree that you are A, not closed off. You're B, you're going to talk about your past. So I've woven it into your identity in just this conversation. I mean, if you talk someone into being open, they're not going to live the rest of their life open. But you've got them to commit in this little conversation. So the moment I want to go a little outside the box, or I want to start talking about intelligence or something like that, you're more likely to do it because I've got you to make that first identity agreement about who you are as a human being just by asking you that. Or I might complain about people who are really closed off. I might say, there's so many people out there. They just live their lives in this little prison, worried about what other people think. Mm-hmm. And people will nod their head just like that. And the moment you nod your head, you're like, yep. But what are you silently agreeing to? That's not me. I'm not that person. So we get these little identity agreements, and then you understand those needs, and you can leverage so much with human behavior. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, a tiny piece of this. But for a PSYOP plan to finish this incredibly long answer to your question is I want to do data acquisition, figure out needs, which automatically give me insecurities and fears. And the moment that happens, figure out context, my desired context that makes the behavior I want out of you automatic or completely expected.
Wow. But this also happens on entire populations.
Oh, yeah.
And so, when you're looking for a need, I mean, the entire population doesn't have the same need. It sounds like the majority of people, accept it in significance. But so what would differ when you're doing a campaign against a foreign government?
If you're doing it against the government, you're still targeting the people, right? So targeting the people would mean that you're getting them to make small agreements. So I'm not going to drop leaflets or do radio broadcasts or any of that kind of PSYOP stuff right away that say, hey, you need to convert to this side and adopt these new beliefs. The first one is like, and let me give you an intelligence example of this. There was a guy working in Guantanamo who almost got turned by one of the prisoners down there. And it all started with one of the prisoners asking him one question. That was the beginning. It was this one question. He said, do you think America is perfect? And that was the start. And it was a long chain after that. Has America ever made mistakes? Has America ever hurt people that didn't deserve it? Is that true? I was just reading in the library that America gave smallpox to the Native Americans. So it's just this long trail. So you always think about like these little steps. What are the steps to make this one thing feel natural? And when I was learning this, one of the guys who taught me said that, walked me through the scenario. And he said, imagine going on a date and you never shook this girl's hand. You never helped her through a door. You never put your hand on her shoulder, nothing. You haven't made any physical contact with her. And at the end of the night, you lean in and try to kiss her. And it feels weird. It feels off. It doesn't feel right. And it's because nothing happened before that. So what we're really doing and what we're really seeing in today's world is these small incremental steps to change human identity to some ultimate outcome. And the steps that we can see, if we kind of backwards analyze this, we're seeing division and tribalism on unprecedented levels. So if I'm left wing, or if I lean way left, even moderately to the left, and I go on social media and start scrolling my feed, I'm going to see people on the right still on my feed. But the type of people that I see that are on the right are going to be the dumbest, loudmouth morons that you could ever imagine. just to piss me off. I mean, if I'm a conservative, I'm going to go on there and see the dumbest idiots that you could ever imagine, just to make it me feel morally superior and make me feel intellectually superior for having chosen this path.
And drive a more intense hate
Yeah.
to the other side.
Yeah. And we talked about, before we started filming, you and I talked about psychedelics and how it dissolves this feeling of separation. And it seems to be the opposite is what's happening now. It's just massive amounts of separation. How many times and from how many objects and groups can I get you to separate yourself from? It's the opposite of, I mean, it is so divisive that I think we are seeing levels like, I think 20 years ago, 10 years ago, if you ask someone if somebody should be killed for their opinion or for having offensive opinions, I think 99.9% of people would say, no, that's ridiculous. But now it's acceptable. And it's only acceptable because the idea became identity. So it's idea, then ideology, and then identity. And this is the pathway you walk anyone down in a psyop. Idea, ideology, identity. And we adopt an ideology like, oh, I agree with these beliefs. We need to pay people who can't afford it. We need to do this program. We need to instill this one thing in the school, whatever it is. So now I'm starting to adopt an ideology. And the moment that happens, now I have a little tribe of people that agree with me all over social media. And now it's identity, because someone posts something that's very political, but I believe in it so much that I post it. And now the first day, the first week that I start posting that content, now my identity changes. And just like in a conversation when I said, Shawn, how'd you get this open? Or look at these other people that are really closed off. It's the exact same thing that's happening on social media. It's identity. And so it's rewiring how I see myself, which means that I can take drastic measures to enforce it because it's part of who I am. It's not what I believe. It's who I am as a person. And you imagine, like, you've been an operator for a while. You viewing yourself as an operator is who you are as a person. And that's why you could do this, and that's why you did that. It wasn't because, like, I have a lot of really good ideas in my head. My training was great. It's you. Your confidence was in yourself and not the ideas. So the moment I get someone to place all of those ideas into identity, we take morality off the table.
Shit.
And it's getting worse.
Yeah, no kidding. What are the biggest divisions that you see happening right now?
Well, obviously the left versus right is the biggest. And the one thing that I would want everyone in the world to hear when it comes to all the shit we see on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, whatever it is, you have more in common with someone who voted for the other guy than the billionaire who is funding a lot of these ideas and ideologies that you're seeing on social media. You have way more in common.
Oh my God, so much so. Yes, y'all. When I hear stories about, like, families, literally parts of families not talking to each other because of the way they voted or whatever, that's nuts, y'all. These people don't care about us. Come on, y'all. That's why Trump got in there, because people knew these people didn't care about us. He was supposed to go in there and blow it up. Remember, drain the swamp? Because we know they don't care about us. So why on earth are you letting some other person's words come out of your mouth and cause problems in your real life day-to-day situation with your family and your friends? That's poo-poo, y'all. That's just craziness. Look, if you can't talk about news or politics with your family, then talk about sports. Talk about Disneyland. Talk about movies. I don't know. But don't let these billionaires who don't give two shits about you or me or the rest of us that have under a couple million in our bank account mess up your life. You know what I mean? Just don't do it. Don't buy into it. It's all bullshit. It's all designed to keep us fighting. What they're afraid of most is if we stop the bullshit fighting and we start coming together and agreeing on what we can agree on, and we start looking at DC going, the fuck are y'all doing? Why does it take 5 years to get a bill passed? Why, when the House passes a bill, does it go to the Senate and die 9 out of 10 times? Why do you spend so much time when you don't have the White House creating a bill you know is going to get vetoed anyway for some kind of moral victory? You just wasted time and money and resources on something you knew had no chance at passing anyway. It's a joke. And the more we stop bickering amongst ourselves and start looking to the quote unquote leadership, the more we're going to get upset about it. And they know that. So drop another Epstein file, keep them arguing. Let's start a war with some random drug cartel. We'll keep them fighting about that. Whatever it is. Whatever it takes to keep us bickering at each other and not holding our government accountable. And they have people like this, like Mr. Hughes, on their side. They have a lot of Mr. Hugheses on their side, constantly running ops, even though they're not supposed to, on their own citizens. So we don't have this conversation. So we don't have these kinds of debates. We have the debates over whether you think a pervert went to a pervert's house. It's crazy, y'all. All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox. I'm sorry. When I get gassed up, I get gassed up. And yeah, it is what it is, I guess.
Like, and you see these idiots on TV, whether they're left or right, based on who you are in real life. And the algorithm is showing you the opposite, right? The idiots on the other side. That's not real. That's a tiny percentage of the population, a tiny one, I think. If you go to like Walmart or Target and you're standing in line and you see somebody that voted for the other person, they're not an asshole. They're not slapping you in the face. And we have so much in common with each other. Like, we all want fair income. We all hate taxes. We all want our kids to be safe. We all want our kids to be well fed. We want to be able to have fun and not pay too much taxes. Like, we have so much in common with those people. We have nothing in common with a lot of these elites who are kind of orchestrating a lot of the shit that we're seeing on social media.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I would 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
100% agree with that.
I've studied hypnosis for 25 years. And I work with one-on-one clients. I work with Formula One athletes. I've worked with pro fighters, UFC champions, PGA golfers. The one thing that I've noticed when I'm working with all of these people is that the moment that we start understanding that every time I'm looking at another person there, they are scared like I am. They're lonely like I am. And all of these things that all of us hide from the rest of the world. I'm lonely. I'm scared things aren't going to go right for me. I don't know if things are going to work out. I have to hedge everything. Are my kids going to be okay? All the stuff we worry about, we have that in common with everybody. And I don't know, this is like, so I don't want this to turn into a Mr. Rogers episode, but we really got to come back and realize that we have to understand that we've got more in common with those people than the elites.
Yeah, I think it's definitely not going to be a Mr. Rogers episode. But you know, I mean, so everybody hears the term, divide and conquer, divide and conquer, divide and conquer. We've heard it several times, all by design, heard that several times.
Yeah.
But, I mean, who, I guess what I'm asking is we are divided on so many things. Yeah, it's red versus blue. It's black versus white. It's Christian versus non-Christian. It's LGBTQ or not. It's fuck, man. It's everywhere. Everywhere you look, you can't find anything that's not division anymore. Race, religion, politics.
I have a theory about this. If you'll indulge me.
Yeah.
Here. Are you familiar with Maslow's pyramid, Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
No.
So it's a hierarchy of what we need to kind of survive, basically, as humans. And there's a few levels to it. The bottom is just survival. Above that is safety. And above that is love and belonging. And then it's self-esteem and then actualization, like I'm living my purpose in life. If we have a few of these pyramid levels met, we will always worry about the next one up. You with me so far?
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got kind of the survival and safety met. Like, you're not going to see debates about gender in a country where people are starving. It will never happen.
Mm-hmm.
You're only going to see the next level that people are worried about on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So if we have our survival met, our safety is met, the next thing up is social and belonging. And that's where we get that placebo. That's where we get that little placebo. And the way, since we're not fulfilling that, that gets to be something that occupies us. So we focus on what makes us different. I have to isolate myself and I have to find a tribe of people who believe in this one small thing that I believe in. Now I'm going to try to divide myself as much as possible. When you have societies that are high up, that have all the belonging stuff handled, the next thing is esteem. So if belonging feels like it's met, our self-esteem and our definition of who I am as a person, that stuff has got to be conquered. That's the next thing. And all that we're seeing now is like, I have to identify with this one thing to increase my feeling of esteem, even though the social part of that pyramid isn't being met. We're kind of jumping over it, and we can never get to the esteem part because social can no longer be fulfilled.
Gotcha. Okay. Why, what is the point of the division? I mean, I get it. Creates broken society. Nobody can agree on shit. Nobody gets along.
Yeah.
People essentially a nation stands for nothing because it's so fucking divided. Totally understand that. Who wants us divided? And why? At the beginning, you were talking about 9 people at a marble round table. Do you think that's what it is? Or is it Russia, China, anybody, all these foreign actors? Maybe, I mean, obviously, not just maybe, obviously, not all foreign actors.
Yeah.
A lot of them coming from in CONUS.
Yeah. I don't have many theories when it comes to this, but I think there are some elites that have put some desired end goals out there to people that work for them or people that do their bidding. Mm-hmm. And I think this is just a byproduct of those end goals needing to be met. Some of that's military industrial complex, and some of that is another country wanting our economy to start kind of getting crippled a little bit. But I think that it's multifaceted. And I think that anybody who comes up and says, oh, it's this one guy. It's this one guy at the World Economic Forum, or it's this one guy who does this thing. I don't think that's the case. I think a lot more of this is just a byproduct of companies needing money than people really understand. I think a lot of it is this just companies doing things and engineering outcomes where they can get money. It just so happens that this might be that end. But you hear people talk about the Great Reset and all that, which I'm no expert in any of those like international politics stuff. But that's terrifying to me to hear people talk about that kind of stuff.
Right now, America's going through a transition in the way we think about money.
Okay. Well, this is as good a spot as any to hop in. So we covered a lot there. Been taking some some notes, some bullet points. I think these are some important things that we make sure get hammered home. Um, and he said something really important there at the end, and that was like that I don't think it's just one person, one entity. It's probably uh, multiple, right? You have government interests, you have private interests, you have personal interests, right? So there's a lot of influence going on there and a lot of degrees of successful and not successful influence going on there. So you have those that are trained professionals doing what they do, and then you have those that, I don't know, use AI to learn how to spy on people, right? And then everything in between. And with so much information out there, like I just said, AI at people's fingertips, they're more than ever probably getting their hands on ways to fuck with people that are effective, and they're using them. So the thing is like, it already is, I think, harder to determine whether it's some kind of a government psyop, some type of IC operation that's fucking with this person, or if it's just some other individual that's not happy with that person and they figured out ways to mess with people. So you have that going on top of everything else. It's just such a crazy time with social media to find even just simple facts. Because at this point, on top of all that, we know that our media is pretty much bought and paid for. We know by parts of the private industry, and we know that the government can literally, if they decide to, tell the media exactly what to say, and they would have to say it in certain circumstances. So we got psyops on psyops on psyops, folks. And start preparing yourself if you're not prepared already by watching this entire interview. Now, I believe we're not going to do the whole thing, but I believe that they do talk about UFO UAP disclosure here. Let me see if I can find the chapter here. And how's your day going? I hope you're having a good day. All right. Okay, of course they don't put it in the notes. Let's see. Okay, you know what we're going to do? We're going to jump to the MK Ultra section. And it looks like they cover a few interesting things. So MK Ultra and mind control, personality B and behavioral triggers, which I think is important. AI, consciousness, and the nature of reality, psychedelics, quantum mechanics, and awareness. So those sound like some pretty interesting topics. We'll go ahead and jump to those. And again, the chat is open. You got any questions, comments? Go ahead and throw them in the chat there. We will see them.
I mean, this, I don't know, this makes MK Ultra pop in my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds kind of similar.
There's a lot of that stuff.
Do you?
I know a lot about MK Ultra.
Let's hear about it.
There is, well, the background to it is the government was freaking out that there were guys in the Korean War saying, America's bad. I renounce my citizenship. I hate America. Korea, yay, Korea. Boo America kind of videos. And they're like, what? There's some technology, because these are patriotic Americans being told to do all this stuff. So there was a start of what I would refer to as a mental arms race. And the Soviets were also doing this stuff too. And this is where you had weird stuff going on. We had like Project Stargate, like the Men Who Stare at Goats movie, and remote viewing and all this other stuff was going on. Then they started MK Ultra, which involved a lot of former Nazi scientists, and involved a lot of LSD and dosing people with massive, massive doses of LSD, and ruining a lot of people's lives in the process. But it was an attempt initially to find some kind of a truth serum. And actually the Navy participated in the biggest one, which was called Project Chatter, which is a sub-project of MK Ultra. And with this guy, he's a professor at, it's in Hamilton, New York. I can't remember the name of the Colgate University. His name's Dr. George Estabrooks. And he and J. Edgar Hoover are collaborating on a plan to use hypnosis to capture and hypnotize a German submarine captain and give him alter identities. And send him back to his fleet in Germany and have him torpedo the entire German fleet inside the harbor. And this was a legit plan. And I have access to the documents that survived the destruction order, and it was called Super Spy. And do you do show notes? Like the PDF in the comment or PDF in the description thing?
Mm-mm.
Shit. I would have sent it to you so people can download it. But
we'll do it. We'll do it. We've
Okay.
done it before. I thought you meant
Okay.
We'll do it.
yeah, so I'll send it to you so people can actually look at these, because they're
Perfect.
not public record.
Thank you.
I went to this guy's house, talked to a family member. These were like old stuff that survived the CIA's destruction order of all of this stuff. But it got weird. I mean, these guys had lots of power. This was called the OSS, which, as you know pretty well back then, we've got this guy running the show. His name's Wild Bill Donovan. And his instructions to the lead guys in every unit was to make merry hell when it came to MK Ultra. And they did this one project called Project Midnight Climax. Have you heard of this?
Mm-mm.
They took prostitutes in San Francisco, and these women would lure these men back to the hotel and drug them with LSD, like high dose LSD. And on the other side of a two-way mirror, these scientists would be back there writing down God knows what, because that's all we really know about the whole program. But they were also experimenting with aerosol LSD. Like, can we disperse it into a crowd? Can we disperse it over a city? What does it do in water supplies? And just some insane stuff. But they discovered this way to create a Manchurian candidate. And this is a lot of where some of these ideas came from. And this guy, George Estabrooks, perfected, or back then had it perfected, this system to create a Manchurian candidate, to where he could create an alter ego inside of an army officer. One of them was the normal officer, and they called him Jones. A and there was a Jones B. And we could send this guy through enemy lines, doing whatever. Jones A is a normal Army officer. Jones B is carrying these vital classified secrets, radio frequencies, whatever it is. I made that last part up, the frequency part up. Who knows what he's carrying? So if Jones A gets captured, Jones B doesn't activate until he hears a very specific hypnotic phrase or hypnotic command under hypnosis. And they do that on the other side of the line. So they developed this stuff way back when. And one of the doctors working on this whole project was named Dr. Joylyn West, who may have been involved with the Sirhan situation and Bobby Kennedy, and which is a whole nother rabbit hole. But it looks like Sirhan to me. I'm 100% convinced that he was programmed to do that.
No shit.
It's not hard to do. I mean, look at the Milgram experiment. 40 minutes, kill a stranger, and they didn't use hypnosis. There was no like cool sales tactic or script that they had to follow. Everybody's concerned with like, what do I say? What are the exact words I need to say? It's, can you trigger the fate model? Focus, authority, tribe, and emotion. And if you get that, you get compliance. And if you get that plus hypnosis, then you can create the Manchurian candidate. And it's not that hard to do. You don't need a bunch of advanced training to get that done. And I've studied that for a long time. So when I work with one-on-one clients who need a breakthrough or something like that, I'll use the exact same method to create an alter ego in a person that maybe doesn't eat 6 pounds of cheesecake every day. So you could take the exact same thing and put it in someone else that benefits them and acts as maybe a drill sergeant or a disciplinarian. And the reason that I started doing this or got interested in it, there are case studies and reports of people with dissociative identity disorder. So like 2 personalities or multiple personalities inside of a person, where one of them has a medically diagnosable condition and the other one does not.
Are you shitting me?
No, this is proven. Like one of them could be cortically blind, or one could have color blindness. One of them could have some kind of a diabetic condition. There are several conditions where these other personalities would have allergies, even skin allergies and rashes in response to cat hair. And just upon reading this, I'm thinking like, well, could I make someone with severe depression have an alter ego that doesn't have the depression? And we know that neurons that fire together wire together. So over the course of 6 months, if they keep doing this, can they kind of like rewire their brain if this alter keeps taking over? Of course, I didn't know. I played with it for a really long time. And man, our brains are fascinating, and how fast they can change and adapt. And if you've got a good person working with you, you can get a lot done. But I think the only other way to really alter mental plasticity that fast would be psychedelics. This was like ketamine or a DMT or something like that.
So how would they do it with MK Ultra? Would it be they are in the middle of the journey, the psychedelic kicks in, and then is it a hypnosis? I mean, because the way it's described is they're injecting thoughts, right?
Yeah. So it probably, there was never a recipe. My estimation is that it was a microdose of LSD, because as you know, in psychedelics, language loses more and more meaning the more psychedelics you do. So I was thinking it's a microdose of LSD, massive amounts of hypnosis to where the person's hyper responsive to that person's voice. So like when I see clients, they listen to my MP3 audio thing that's hypnosis to just help them go to sleep every night. So by the time they show up and see me in person, their brain is hyper responsive to my voice, and it's a lot easier. And then during that process, in my estimation, they used real trauma, like oxygen deprivation or something like that, to create a traumatic brain response inside of the limbic system of our brain, which makes us dissociate. And during this process of dissociation is when they put that second dissociated person or part of them, or I don't know how the words to say, but they're dissociated. So while they're dissociated, they hypnotize them and then kind of create that alter ego, tell them how they activate, tell them when they come up and what their personality is, what they like to do. You're here to protect the host. So like if I did this to you, Sean B's job would be to protect Sean A. Does that make sense?
Man, I mean, kind of, a little bit. I mean, I don't understand how person B comes out though. You know what I mean? How is that determined?
Person B comes out through dissociation. So that's where we get the name dissociative identity disorder. So when a person is going through some kind of traumatic event, you'll talk to somebody, I think you had someone on your show who mentioned this, who goes through trauma and they just kind of like exit their body temporarily, or exit this one globe of consciousness into this other piece. And when they shift over to this other piece, you can separately create this piece and give them an identity, give them a name. And if I can make something real in your head, then I can create it in reality for you. Which is why a lot of these cases of dissociative identity disorder were created by the psychiatrists in the 70s and 80s and the 90s. Because, and this is called iatrogenic dissociative identity disorder. So if you came to me, I keep using you as the example, but there's nobody else here. Sean, if you came to me and I was a psychiatrist and we were working together, you said, well, I have this thing going on in my life and it's X and Y and Z. And all I did was start talking about two different parts of you. And I say, it seems like there's a part of you that wants to eat the right thing, but there's also a part of you that wants to overeat. And you're like, yeah. And then I go into 5 or 6 other examples in your life. Is this like this in social situations? Is there a part of you that wants to hide and there's a part of you that wants to socialize? Yeah. So I'd go into all these parts. And then I would say, you know what? I'd like you to take a questionnaire. And this questionnaire is maybe 17 questions. And a lot of these people made it up on the spot, these little questionnaires. And if I tell you that you scored high in dissociative identity, I'd say like this person, this other part of you has their own thoughts, their own behaviors, their own life. And I think a lot of your issues are from not addressing this other part of you that wants to do these other things. And they're probably here to keep you safe. So just really quick, just between you and I, if that other part of you had a name, what would you want to name that other part? And you say, Stephen. And I'm like, all right. So I'd like to talk to Stephen now. So within the course of one session, I have a conversation with Shawn. I have a conversation with Stephen. And by the 3rd or 4th session, you are fully living your life as if there are 2 people in your head.
You got to.
Because what happens there? There's a lot of novelty, focus, a lot of authority, because there's a guy in a lab coat or a guy in the psychology sweater vest holding the clipboard there, taking you through a lot of this stuff. The authority and your expectation is what sets the stage for this to become a reality. So you can accidentally get dissociative identity from a provider.
Wow.
And this is very well documented.
And so what was the point of MK Ultra?
Who knows? I don't know.
You don't know.
I think the initial aim was to figure out the perfect truth serum, which they thought LSD was some miracle for truth serum. And they were testing sodium amytal, which is another drug that's pretty well known as a good truth serum. And they were trying to figure out, can we really brainwash people? Can we create Manchurian candidates? Can we split people's personalities? There was so much that it was just wild. It was the Wild West. So it's just looking at what they did, nobody would ever be able to know what the ultimate aim was.
The most important action you can take today is to protect your family's future from cyber. So how would they get personality B to trigger on demand? Well, if they were going to have a Manchurian candidate or, an assassin or,
Yeah.
any bad actors. I mean, how would they trigger personality B to carry out whatever the mission is?
It's pretty simple. A lot of repetition. So like if I continually deprive you of oxygen and then afterwards, every time you dissociate them, say, now I'm talking to Sean B. And what's your number one goal? You want to protect Sean A, right? And the number one way to do that is to go do this one thing in this place. That's the way to protect. Is that your goal? Is that what you want to do? Good. And every time you come out, I might set up some kind of a trigger. Once you hear these words, then you have permission to come out and do exactly what you want to do. And it's very easy. It's just setting up the expectation and then rehearsal. That's all hypnosis really is. But when you do it with this Manchurian candidate stuff, it's trauma, expectation, and then repetition. And it's not hard. I mean, if you could, without any of that trauma, any of that programming, no LSD, strangers will kill another stranger in 40 minutes, 67 at a rate of 67%. So people think like there's some advanced, crazy technique that you have to master to do a lot of this stuff. It's a lot simpler than most people think.
It's not that advanced.
It's not.
Man, that's fucking scary.
It is terrifying.
Do you think that program's still going on?
Yeah, we're swimming in it inside of our phone every day.
Yeah. We're kind of wrapping up the interview now, Chase, but I'm just, with a lot of the things that are coming out today, AI, voice.
Okay, we're definitely going to watch this last part, but I just want to, y'all realize what that man just said, right? I don't know what's going on with my camera. That's weird. He said, we are swimming in it. It's in our phone every day. So the MK Ultra program, the brainwashing, Psyops shit, all of it. It's not gone. It's stronger than ever, and it's in our pocket every day. This is the leading expert in the field. This isn't like, just some rando that wrote a book. This is the guy the government goes to when they can't figure it out, right? So keep that in mind when you're scrolling on your phone.
Voice manipulation. I mean, you see a lot of these AI videos that are coming out. They don't look fake.
Yep.
They don't look fake. I mean, now they have these programs that will, I mean, you feed it 30 seconds of your voice and it'll replicate it perfectly.
Yeah.
Minus, maybe some highs and lows and just how you talk as a person, raise your voice, lower your voice, but it'll even start picking that up.
Yeah.
If you give it enough time. So, I mean, what are your fears for, what do you think Psyops, how are they going to develop?
It can copy your voice. I didn't know it could do that.
Oh yeah, they can copy your voice.
So I could listen to a romance novel that's narrated by you.
You could.
I might try that.
These guys are already doing it to my voice.
No doubt.
So, yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, with all this AI, it's going to do exactly what we've already done. We are in a world where we've got our friend Joe Rogan. He's got more views than almost all of the media because that's contrived, it's narrative driven, and it's artificial. And people are right now just starving for something more real. And I think over time, AI is going to become so pervasive that all we're going to do is crave something real again. We're going to get into a place of being extremely distrustful of digital assets and digital media in general. And I think that distrust of digital media will drive us back to a place of craving some kind of reality and
Actual
realness.
human connection.
Yeah. So I think that it may be the thing that pushes us backward toward where we need to be, reconnecting. And I'm not saying it's going to drive that change and change the world, but I'm saying it's going to create that desire for sure. It's going to create that desire for reality because we've already got it. And we're already seeing the world's reaction to shows like this, like the content that you put out. It's not heavily edited. There's not some narrative being cast and all that stuff. It's super real. And people are already starting to crave that stuff. And I think this is just going to push it even further.
Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. I was expecting something a lot darker than that. So, I'm just being honest.
I brought you a present, by the way.
Oh, right on. Oh, I got you a little something too. I forgot all kinds of shit at this interview. I was getting
This is
too
the,
excited.
gotta pop that thing open. And I got one for your team as well. So this is my,
All right. Well, we don't need to see them exchange gifts, but holy shit, right? What a interview. We skipped probably about like an hour and a half of it, and I know we missed some good stuff. I know there was a question about the UFOs in there. I just didn't have the time to get to it, and I didn't even think about searching the transcription till now. But that's okay. We got a lot of good stuff. I mean, a lot of good stuff. Okay, so we'll start it with this. Social media is the battlefield. That's it. That's, like I was saying earlier, that's the arena. It's where it's taking place, whether you know it or not, whether you're aware of it or not. It's happening on your phone if you use social media in any capacity every single day. You're not exempt from it because you don't care about this stuff. We're all included. If you feel some kind of way, if you read a post and it really makes you feel some kind of way about it, that could be a psyop. Because we know psyops target emotions. They don't target logic. And as we all know, the algorithm rewards outrage, not truth. So the posts that get people upset get the most kind of activity, responses. And that's what the social media companies want. They want the responses, they want the activity, they want the engagement, right? So you can get 5,000 people to respond to a questionable post you make where you're making some kind of crazy claim and you know it's going to upset someone, whether it be political or whatever. You know that's going to get a lot more engagement than just a simple fact-based post that you think would contribute something or give somebody a little piece of knowledge they didn't have before that day. The crazy, emotional, angry stuff is always going to get more engagement. It's interesting how that works. Narratives are engineered, right? We know that they're put together. They're built like a home. They've got a blueprint. They start with the foundation. They build the frame. They build the house out from there. That is how narratives happen. And we all say reality is a matter of your perception, right? How we perceive things is the most important thing. That's like our autonomy, our perception. And so, of course, they're going to target that for control. Because if they can control what you perceive, then you think it's your own idea. It's like that movie Inception with DiCaprio, right? Where they go in the guy's dream and they plant the idea because if he thinks it's his idea, that will stick. It's pretty crazy. Um, Identity-based persuasion is one of the strongest weapons. So you get people in a group, right? You make them tribal, whether they say they're a part of the group or not, they're in that group. They're a part of that group. And so if someone says something bad about one member of that group, then that's going to have an impact on you. And so it's much easier if you're in a group to be affected. Why target one individual when you could target an individual that has 100,000 followers? Right? Like if you target the individual that has 100,000 followers, all those followers, maybe not all, but a lot of those followers are going to see that and are going to feel some kind of way about it. And Ron's telling us about his dielectric vortex technology by Ronald Frederick Sykes again. Every live stream. I love it, Ron. We're gonna have to dig deep into that one of these days. If a post instantly goes viral, the first thing you should ask is who benefits. I mean, obviously the person that made the post is going to benefit, but what's behind that? Who's behind that post? What business, corporation, individual, country, government, whatever? Who's benefiting from that post that just went viral? Because your attention is the currency of this new warfare, this new social media battle zone. Because it's social media, because it's a computer, and you can do things like create software, then you can automate it. You can get people upset on a schedule. It's incredible. Last few points here. Confusion is not a side effect of this. It's a tool. You're not confused because it doesn't make sense. You're confused because they want you confused. We're all confused all the time, aren't we? What the fuck? Why the fuck did that just... He signed an agreement with who? He did what? He said, huh? Nah, that's a tool. If they can predict you, they can control you. Plain and simple, folks. I mean, that's as simple as it gets. If they know what you're going to do, if they know how you're going to react, then they know exactly what buttons to push to get you to act or react a certain way. Just like our perception of reality, our brain craves certainty. That's why we perceive reality the way we do. That's why they say when you take this DMT stuff, it blows you away because it affects that frontal cortex part of our brain that tells us what reality is. We need that. We crave that. And because we need that and because we crave that, that can be exploited. That uncertainty. Because uncertainty typically becomes what? Fear. And when you've got someone confused, uncertain, and afraid, they're way more likely to listen to daddy government, right? Or whomever. Because let's not forget, this is how cults get started as well. These are the same kinds of tools. Be careful out there, folks. Be careful. Mind your P's and Q's. Exercise common sense. Use good judgment. Keep your receipts. Yeah. All right, y'all. This was a very, very insightful one. Again, I cannot stress enough how much, if you enjoyed any piece of this interview, you go and check out the Chase Hughes interview on Shawn Ryan because, wow, very insightful. And also, as I said, he does have that website, nci.university. Make sure you check that out. He's got a lot of free stuff on there. I haven't had an opportunity to dig through it yet, but I certainly have it bookmarked, and I do plan on digging through it as soon as possible because this guy is saying some things that really struck some chords, especially given some of the stories I hear round the way. All right, y'all. Have a great night, and I will see you when I see you. We'll see you next time.